State now.
Yeah, so here we are, Monday press conference for Sam Houston. Obviously, really disappointed in our performance last week at Fresno State. Got to get better in all three phases. We brought the guys in yesterday. We had a good lift and good meetings, and we talked about it quite a bit. So we're ready to turn the page and focus on Sam Houston and get back into conference and get up there to Huntsville and go fight for a win.
It sounds like a simple question, but how do you guys just recover from a loss of that magnitude, Coach Sanchez?
Well, it's, the last game of the season last year was, that same team, and they beat us, kind of like that, and we turned the page and moved on, and we've done it before. We've been 1-2 the last 2 years in a row. I believe a couple years ago we were 1-5 at one point and ended up, getting to 7 wins. So, again, we need to keep it simpler than that, though. It's really about one game. Turning the page is just, again, it's one of those deals where you got to do it every week. You could win with that same margin, and you're going to have to forget about it and move on. So for us, we've got some older guys in the room, that have been around for a long time. They know the history and the way things have gone down here. We've got to lean into those guys. All these new faces, the 40-some-odd new guys that haven't been around, they're going to have to learn how to handle it, and how to be coached hard and how to be accountable. And we got to do a better job as coaches getting our guys prepared. So really, you just dive right back into the work.
Dylan, just Coach kind of touched on it there, being one of the veterans on this team. I guess what would be your message to the guys heading into this week, knowing what happened last weekend?
We got to learn from our failures that we had from last week. Learn from them, move on, and just come ready to practice. It all starts at practice. We got to practice hard, get after each other, and just get ready for this conference game. The next game is always the most important game, so we got to win and dominate this game and build up some momentum going into the following week.
I wanted to ask you about the quarterbacks. You guys rotated Parker and Deuce a lot against Fresno, and just what have you seen from both of them recently since that Saturday? And then what do you guys plans for Saturday at that position?
Well, we got to be better there. Both those guys are working hard. They've been working hard since they got here. At the end of the day, though, we got to have a better performance there. Deuce. He did quite a few, checks at the line of scrimmage, and we've got to pull some of that back a little bit, and Parker, again, you'd like to see him a little bit more productive in the throw game, some of the decision making, getting rid of the ball in time and kind of going through your reads. So that's a position we got to continue to develop. It's hard to win football games if you're not playing good, solid football there, and we got to continue to get better there.
Parker's still going to start Saturday, or do you want to get Deuce?
We'll see. We'll leave it up. Those guys are all still competing. Deuce played more snaps. He got the start in the game, and he obviously finished the game, with Deuce going out. But, we'll see what ends up happening.
Yeah. Santino got some snaps on the last drive, and you mentioned him a couple weeks ago, just about him learning the offense slowly and things like that. Just what are your plans for him? What's he been doing?
Well, we ramped it up a couple weeks ago going into the Liberty game. He got, he shared, half the 2 reps. He got most of the 2 reps on Tuesday and half of it on Wednesday. We did that again last week. We got to continue to do that, and we got a problem solving too as coaches. We got to sit there, they're all different guys, and if he's got a little bit less of a grasp for the offense, then maybe we, simplify some of the stuff we do with him to give him an opportunity. So again, we're all the guys are in the office right now. We're working it all day today. Monday's our off day, so we're in there working on it, and we'll come up with a good plan and get that position going.
Do you have an update for Deuce? Because I know you mentioned he got banged up against Fresno State.
Yeah, so right now we're waiting to get some final results, and we'll see. We should know probably by tomorrow exactly what his status is for the year.
What was it that he was specifically?
Collarbone.
Okay. I guess just to piggyback off of that, as obviously not ideal to have a quarterback competition at this point of the year.
Yeah.
As the head coach, how do you just go about assessing that, knowing hey, we need to find a guy, but we also need to make sure.
Well, again, if you've been around the last couple of years, that's kind of been our story. You go back to 2 years ago, I don't think we had a starter until week 7. We went back and forth. I think Diego got his first start week 3, and then it got taken again, and then he got it again week 5, and then we went back and forth. So we've been here before, And you see a lot of teams around the country making decisions even last week, changing their starter and stuff. It's a tough position. It's the hardest position in all of sports. There's nothing that even compares to it, You got guys barreling down on you. You got to make quick decisions, It's hard. It's a difficult position. So again, as coaches, we have to do a good job of making sure we're putting them in positions to be successful. So again, it's as much on us as it is them.
Canaan, I wanted to ask you about the offensive line had struggles and some problems against Fresno, and with Pete out, you've been kind of the the veteran there on that offensive line. You may already did that anyway. Just what do you feel like were some of the problems there against Fresno, and how do you feel like you guys can work to address that?
I think we just need to keep pushing to get better as a unit. You know what I mean? We got to strain harder. We got to finish better. We got to get on the same page more. We probably need to study more as a group to, prepare us the most for game day. And that's on me too. I need to lead those guys better. And, that's the main thing, I guess.
Yeah. Shamar's been in there for Pete recently since he's been out. What have you just seen from him in practice and just in games recently?
Yeah, I mean, Shamar, he comes to work every day. Like, he's one of the guys that, we like because he cares a lot. He really does care a lot about NMSU football and this team and our guys. And so, I trust Shamar. I know he's going to keep working hard and keep trying to get better and keep, filling those shoes. So, I got a lot of respect for Shamar.
Dylan, for you, you guys were able to stop the run most well against Liberty until about the end of the game. Fresno, they were able to have a really good running game against you guys. What do you feel? Do you feel like problems maybe kind of carried from the end of that Liberty game, or do you feel like maybe there was a bit of a difference?
At the end of the day, we got to do your job. We had a few guys, step in and out of gaps and in the secondary missed tackles. So, at the end of the day, you're going to have to stop the run, and just discipline-wise, we have to be a lot more disciplined going into this week towards the run game. And wrapping up, you have to tackle as a defense. If you want to be a great defense, you have to tackle.
Dylan, just looking, I don't know how much film you guys have watched on Sam Houston, but the quarterback, new one from last year, or new quarterback this year, Hunter Watson, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Good arm, is also mobile. How, as a defense, how do you guys approach a quarterback like that?
Our D-line just have to do a good job of affecting him, get him off his spot. He has a strong arm, good, talented quarterback. When he throws the ball up in the air, we just have to make a play in the back end. But that's what we want them to do. So we have to stop the run to force them to throw the ball up, and we have to go attack the ball and just finish up and get a turnover.
Coach Sanchez, what have you seen from Watson that might pose a threat for you guys?
Yeah, again, you go back, Liberty's quarterback's kind of, he's that dual threat guy, and I thought we did a pretty good job with that. This is a new challenge, with these guys. They're a little bit more Q run game oriented. They're going to run a lot of power read and things like that, so they want their quarterback involved, running the football. So he's not just a dual threat guy. He's a guy who they're going to build some offense around. So we have to do a good job with him, and I thought our, defensively, I thought we did a really good job early in the Fresno game against the run. It really wasn't until the second half where, we started giving up runs. It was the first big pass play, and then we did a great job of coming downhill and causing a turnover, a fumble, and then the guy ends up scooping it and running back. Other than that, we really settled down and gave ourselves a chance. Offensively, really where we put defense in bad situations. A lot of short fields, but we need to come out and play against the run like we did at the beginning of that Fresno game. Eliminate some of those explosive plays in the passing game, and if we do that and are a lot more functional on offense and get some drives going and sustained early, we'll have a great opportunity to go there and get a win.
What exactly do you want to see improved from the offense heading into this week?
We just consistency. At the end of the day, you got to be able to throw the ball down the football field, to win games. And again, you get into that Fresno game, and you got a 14-point game. You make a nice throw on a vertical ball. It's going to put you inside the 10-yard line, and all of a sudden you got a chance for a 14-7 game. And we end up dropping the ball. We ended up kicking it away, and it's really frustrating. We also, defense got a great stop. We have possession intent on the plus 47, so we're already, and we run a screen, we lose 6 yards, we end up having to punt the ball away. So first down offense is critical. If you see us have success on first down, get ourselves into manageable second down situations, it'll give us a great chance to sustain drives. And at the end of the day, we got to have explosive plays. 2 weeks in a row, we haven't had our goal, which is 10 explosives. If we're going to go win these football games, we're going to have to be more explosive on offense.
Obviously, Joe Morris, part of your staff, spent 3 years at Sam Houston. Yeah. Knowing he's been there the last 3 years, does that kind of help in terms of preparation, or is it kind of just like a clean slate?
It does a little bit. The familiarity with the whole conference. He's got a little bit of that. And obviously, he knows personnel, their defensive personnel a little bit. It's a new guy calling it, so it's going to be different. He knows their head coach and kind of his philosophies type stuff, but. Knowing somebody and what they like to do, I tell you what, it's a little overrated. You know what I'm saying? You still got to line up. You still got to play a great pad level. You still got to make the right checks, the right calls at the right time. Guys still, at the end of the day, I think coaches get way too much credit and way too much grief. The players are the ones who, they're out there doing it. You know what I'm saying? So for us, it's, you got to give those guys opportunities to go and, and use their skill sets, and put them in good situations. If you do that enough, you guys play hard and fundamentally sound, then you always have a great opportunity.
Just looking ahead to Saturday, can you just talk about a question for all three of you? We'll start with you, Ken, and just this opportunity to, not the results you wanted Saturday, but just to be able to have another chance for redemption, I guess, if that's fair to say.
Yeah, I mean, I think the best part about football is, like, regardless of what happened the week before, by Monday, it's a new week, a new opponent, and a new opportunity to prove, who you are and what you can do. So it's going to be a big one. We're excited.
Dylan?
Obviously we didn't get the dub last week, but with football, you got to wait a whole week to go out there and fix things that you messed up and get an opportunity just to go dominate and show that you learn from your mistakes and just to go have fun again. So, just the focus is at practice, man. We gotta dominate and strain at practice so we can take advantage of an opportunity we have this upcoming Saturday to go win the conference game.
Yeah, I think it's consistency in approach. I think that's why it's important in life never to be too high, never to be too low. You know what I'm saying? So you can manage good and bad situations. Obviously, it's a bad situation for us, what happened on Saturday. So again, it's going back to your processes. You fall back. We tell our players all the time, what do you do when things get tough? You fall back on your techniques, your fundamentals and techniques. No different as coaches. You fall back on your processes. You fall back on your organization, and you go back to work. So again, each week, it's a new opportunity. So again, no matter how good or how bad it was, we talk to our guys all the time about living in a 6-second world on game day, right? And for us, it's one game at a time. So we just got to go back out and do what we've been trained to do and go fight and win a football game.
Dylan, I wanted to ask you about DeMarcus and DeCarrick, who were the two transfers that came in from Sam Houston last year, and Joe Wright, who's a DC as well. What have all three of those guys been like for you guys, and just since they've been here?
The two transfers, they bring in a great energy and a great level of competition. Joe Morris, he pushes you. He forces you to be your best, just playing like a tight man scheme. I feel like at the end of the day, football is football. So just bringing those guys in just helps the room build competition and then forces everyone to be great. Coach Morris, he does a great job with just making sure every player builds that right confidence and puts those guys in the right spot.
Yeah. DeCarrick and DeMarcus, what have they been like just individually for you? Just what's your relationship like with them?
They're two good guys. They came in a little late. They didn't come in with the spring, but we built that brotherhood and chemistry quick. It was a great ad for us. That's about it.
Yeah. And for you as well, just what was it like? Just what did you see from them to bring them in, and just also what did you feel like that guy was right to be?
Well, as far as bringing them in, it's just kind of the world we live in, this transfer portal world. We got guys going out. You got to bring guys in. You know what I'm saying? And anytime you can bring guys in who have experience, who have played, regardless of where they came from, they're always valuable. So those are guys that have had extensive experience, have played a lot, started ball games. So again, those are the kind of skill sets you want to add. So them being from Sam Houston just kind of makes them a little bit more familiar. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But that really had no real bearing on why we brought those guys in. We knew more about them, obviously, when they went in the portal because Joe had coached them, so we knew. And the biggest thing we talk about all the time is it's the character of the person. So we knew they had good character. We knew they'd be hard workers. We know they love football. So if you got those things and you have experience, those are the kind of guys we want here.
Yeah. What made you, I guess, identify Joe as the guy you wanted to be your DC?
Well, when I got the job, and obviously, that there's going to be a lot of changes and things happening. So, it was funny because we had Nate, Dreiling here at first, and I knew at some point we were going to have to replace Nate. So I literally, it's kind of funny. I made a bunch of phone calls to a bunch of different guys. I knew about him. I knew about his credentials, what he had done there. And his name kept popping up. So after it popped up many times, I ended up interviewing him, and it was just a great fit. So that was a really good decision. I'm glad we brought him in.
What do you feel like DeMarcus and DeCarrick have been contributing to your team, and what do you just see from practice and everything?
Like I said, that they bring in a lot of experience, and anytime you have depth and you can roll guys in and out and you keep guys right, it's hard to roll guys when you have guys that don't have experience, guys that that are still figuring it out. Well, these guys, again, they've played a lot of football. They had a lot of value on special teams. They had a lot of value to our defense, and the biggest thing is they had a lot of character value to our team. I mean, they're hard workers. They're good teammates. They're the kind of guys we want in the building. So again, they're talented guys, and it added to a good group in the back end.
Yeah. I want to ask also just about New Mexico State and the program in athletics. I've been through just maybe just a lot of changes. Recently you were there when they were in the Big West, and
Yeah.
they spent 2 stints in the Sun Belt and the WAC, and you got there when they were in Independence, and now they're part of the Conference USA. What's it been like, experiencing just the changes New Mexico State has been through with all of these conference changes? And what do you feel like the future may
Well,
look
you
like?
know, the future's going to be interesting right now. You see with some of the conference realignment, this and that. We love Conference USA. We're happy where we're at right now, but we'll see. Those aren't my decisions, And I don't know if there's even any talk, But I will say this: one of the biggest things is, it's finances, and we've never been funded the way the people, up north have. UNM. I mean, they fund them at a whole different level. You look at their facilities, look at the things that they have. We've always gone with less. And I think Mario coming in was a game changer for New Mexico State. And I'm not saying that because he's my boss. I'm saying it because I'm an Aggie, and I followed this place for God since I was 20 years old. And when you see the resources that have been put towards athletics here, we put some stuff towards basketball, but that's kind of it, Since he's gotten here, he's done a really good job of going ahead and diving in with all of our sports, baseball, softball, football. Obviously continuing in basketball, and he really cares about this place because he's an Aggie also. But it's always been an uphill battle for us, funding this place. We're finally getting a new locker room. When we got hired here a couple years ago, I walked into the same locker room I was in. That's a travesty, it's so, again, for us, some of the big reasons we've had to make these moves, we've gone years without being in a conference. You want to have success, you have to fund play. It's like, if you want to have a successful business, what do? You invest in it. You know what I'm saying? We finally made some incremental investments in this place, and we're finally starting to have success. So it's important for us to go out, again, with our chip on our shoulder, play good football, win some games, and hopefully people will recognize that, up north and fund us the way they fund the Lobos.
Yeah. For you being as a player playing in the Big West, and you've followed this program all the way through all the conferences that they've been in, what do you feel like all these changes with conferences and being independent, how do you feel like that's affected New Mexico State over the years?
Well, I just think what it's done is it goes back to what I just said. Programs are going to change over the years, right? And you want continual investment so the program can continue to grow, stay strong, have a great foundation, right? Me personally and these guys here, we don't care about any of that stuff. That's not our job. That's not our worries. We just got to deal with what we have right now. And what we have now is more than we've ever had before. So we're excited about that. But you say, well, when we got here a couple of years ago, how come we only went to one bowl game in, 40 some odd years? And now we're trying to, every time we win games, it's like we're breaking records the last couple of years, right? It's crazy. Well, why is that? Well, there's been no investment in the place in the last 30 years, So wanting things isn't enough in life.
Yeah.
You have to work for the things that you want. You have to invest in the things you want. It's kind of like NIL. People want to win. We got to invest in NIL. We have to do those things so that we can keep up with with the Jimmys and Joes.
Yeah. For all three of you, just you all three have been here and experienced New Mexico State as an independent, and now in Conference USA. Just do you feel like there's any big difference with being an independent and being in the conference, or do all three of you feel like it maybe has a little impact?
I feel like when we were an independent, it has the same vibe as your preseason throughout the season. Your main goal is just to get at least 6 wins to make the bowl game. You're not really competing for anything. But it's funny because we just had our team meeting on Sunday, and we have goals that we set out. And even with the result of the preseason so far, with being in a conference, all of our goals that we want to achieve are still there and still there to take. So that's the biggest thing. Going to practice every day, it's go all in because everything we want is still out there.
So the extra one of you can now go to a conference championship game. Is that
Yeah.
is that adding a goal kind of?
Of course.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Dylan.
Yeah, just like you said, the goals were the main thing that changed for the conferences. In football, it's always good to play unscheduled games. That's always fun to do. So just the focus of winning a conference title is the main thing to be in a conference and versus to being in independence.
But you.
Yeah, just when you're in a conference, you get familiar with your opponents. You create some rivalry games. You play for conference championships, obviously bowl games, things like that. It's important to be in a conference. Very few teams can get away with doing it. Notre Dame's probably an anomaly. But I don't think there's another team out there other than them that would not rather be in a conference. You know what I'm saying? You want a home. You kind of want to know those schedules that you're going to be playing. Again, you create some rivalries, and it's fun. It's a good deal to be in a conference. And I'm glad we're in one.
Yeah. What do you feel like have been some of those Conference USA rivalries since you
Well,
guys joined?
like you said, it's only been 1 year. We're still building them up. It's kind of fun to have, UTEP in our conference. You know, at the end of the season, you're going to play those guys. So it's a natural rivalry, but now it's also a conference game. That's kind of
Right.
cool. You know, Liberty, obviously, just by the way things have turned out, you know, we played them when we weren't in the conference, and we played them twice last year, and now we played them once, and feel like we played them 4 times in the last, 5 weeks, you know. So anytime you get those highly competitive games, it's going to create a little bit of that rivalry. So, you know, I think we're still developing, and, you know, history kind of dictates, you know, the rivalries that are created by the way the games go down, and I think the longer we're in the conference, and the more we play people, and more familiar we become, the more opportunity there is for, you know, natural rivalries to kind of spring out.
Love it.